Hi everyone. Welcome to the 6th Calendar Podcast. And I think this is either the 6th or the 5th or the 7th podcast, but anyways, you all know, you're going to look in the title, but welcome to this podcast. In today's podcast, we are going to talk about a few things here. We are going to talk about the number 6. And we're also going to be talking about, as well, January 3rd and January 4th. And we're going to be talking about how to predict a leap year. Thank you all for watching this podcast, for pitching in, for giving some time to just look at or listen, as to say, at today's, or watching as well, this podcast. You folks are the best, everybody. Once again, one more time, I'm going to say this again, that is thank you everyone for stopping by this video, this podcast, for listening, watching, whatever. If you're just somewhere sitting and you're just on a bus or somewhere waiting for something, or you have earbuds or anything like that, doesn't matter. Again, just thank you if you have earbuds or not, if you're a girl or boy, anybody, thanks for watching. So, let's start. So, we're going to first start off with the number 6. We are in a series, if you all don't know what's happening. In the podcast, this is the third part on the series talking about numbers. How does the numbers add to 7? How to memorize those numbers. And how to realize the patterns that happens to be odd and evens, or even the odds, depending on what number you are thinking about. In this case, we are going to start exactly on an even number, which is number 6. If I hold it like this, you all going to see it backwards. If not, then let me know if this. But either way, we are going to talk about the number 6. In the 6, first of all, every number in the calendar, keep this in mind, from the numbers 1 to 7, they all have to be aligned. Like I said before, if it's an even number or an odd number, or an odd number or an even number pattern. Unless, like it's going to happen next year, a good example for the straight 3 months of 2024. That's going to be January, February, and March. Just 3 months of odd numbers ending. And those 3 months are not going to start off with ending with an even number until the 4th month, until April. Because next year January has 31 days. Next year February 29th, the leap year, because every 4 years is a leap year. And March 31st has 31 days. It doesn't have 30 days. So, for us to understand the number 6, let's first, deep down, you're probably gonna understand this a little bit from a spoiler alert in about 2 more podcasts, but let's deep down on how the numbers look at the calendar as we are in the month, and how it looks like, as to say, on a month. So in this scenario, let's look, for example, in the month of September, for example. And I know the screen is going to be bright because you all know that. I don't think I need to worry about commenting there because you all don't do that. But anyways, right here, as you will see over here, this month is September. But we need to look at the numbers 19 and the number 9. So you'll be familiar with the last calendar podcast. I would talk about number part 5 of the calendar podcast, or I guess, 6, part 5, I don't know. Anyways, and we talked about how to memorize a number in this number series that we're doing. So if you all look, I'll show you in a second here, numbers 9 and 19. Right here in the month of September. 9 is on Saturday, and the 19th is on a Tuesday. So, after that week, what do you all see what's going to happen a week after the 19th and the week after 9, which we're going to talk about in the future podcast, as a little spoiler alert on number 9, but the second digit, whatever is on the second digit, is going to be that number. Unless, like I always say, if you look over here in the month of August now, for example, very crucial reason. Right here, if you look right there, it has a 31. After 1 is supposed to be 8. There's not 38 days in a month. But it was also transformed, it's going to another month. And the pattern's sudden change happened, so it made it to be an odd number again. Which, in this case, is going to happen again next year for the next 3 months starting in 2024. January, February, and March. If it wasn't a leap year, it would have been only 1 month that's going to happen first. And then the second month is not going to continue with the patterns of an odd number for the next 2 months. In this case, if we look over on 2024, or not only 2024, but a very good example as well, would be July and August. A very good example would be those 2 months during the year. July has 31 days. And if you look a month after July, what's after July? Bingo. August. August also has 31 days. So if you all look right here on the calendar right here, July of this year, and then right here, boom. Oops, I did not mean to do that, but boom, 31 days. So all I'm saying is just, if you look over in January, see it's going to have 31 days. And second month, February, 29 days because of the leap year. Oops, did not mean to press that. And not April. March, 31 days. So that all sums it up. So that's all I'm trying to say, is that the patterns affect. But I don't know how I even try to say that, but all I'm trying to say as well is that we are going to focus on the number 6, and the number 6 is going to be our kingpin in today's podcast, because we have ourselves that clue to understand that since that number 6 is the number in today's podcast, you look a week before, which was number 9, but I think we already went over the number 19, so you all know what's going to happen, giving you the clue that's going to be a number 6. Because if the last digit shows or helps you understand, I guess, strategies, I guess, about the number 9, what happens, let me say this, what happens if you all turn the number 9 upside up and you take out the first digit out if it's 19? Exactly. It's a 6. So that gets you to understand that. Another thing that needs to be said, we are going to do some math. 10-second trivia. What is 6 plus 7? 10 seconds. Alright, time's up. The answer is 13. 13 was your answer. Like I always say, even, odd. That means there's going to be an odd number a week after. And remember those clues that I said about the number, how the number in the last digit ends? That's how you can determine that. Next question. 13. This is going to be an easy one. You all know. Actually, I don't need a timer for this. You're all going to know this one for the next two of us. But if you all know 13 plus 7 is, then I don't need to worry about it. You all know 13 plus 7 is 20 because You just add 7 more. Exactly. And I think that's the easiest part on how to memorize a calendar. Now, we all know that 20 plus 7. Exactly. We just said it. I just said it. 27. 20 plus 7 is what? 27. So, you'll get it. But all I'm saying is, there we go. We already did the number 6. Number 6 is the easiest one. Trust me, it's the easiest one. Before you know it, 6 plus 3 more weeks. Bingo! You're done. You're done with the whole month. I feel like that number 6 are the easiest to calculate. Now, since we know that, today I also want to talk about January 3rd and January 4th. So, with no leap years, I'm talking about no leap years, when January 3rd hits our screens, or when we have that day, I guess, there is a humongous effect on how the calendar goes with January 3rd. So, yeah, because what we're looking at right here, this year, what do you all realize this year? January 3rd was on Tuesday. So whenever January 3rd hits our screen, or when we don't have leap year as well, and it hits our screen on January 3rd, that's going to give you a clue to something. It's going to affect the upcoming days. So in this case, remember that I said about today, which is November 7th, it's Tuesday, 7-11. 11-7, 7-11. So today's Tuesday. So, if you, I already showed you on a podcast before, but I'm not going to show you right now. But all I'm saying is just, those numbers follow all year. And if we look over, there's going to be 4th of July, a day after Christmas, and Halloween. All those 3 holidays will fall on the same day January 3rd started. So it will be very easy for you, or for all of you, to memorize that part if you all understand that. In the other hand, next year, we get something called a leap year. You're thinking, sure, number 3 will be it next year. No. Because January, we only look at number 3 if it's not a leap year. If it is a leap year, it adds a day. And that means we would technically start looking at the months, or of April, a month of April. So, if we go all the way over here, Halloween and 4th of July and that are going to be all on a Thursday. So, that's a fun fact. So if it's a leap year, the numbers that you need to look for it to be the same days or backwards, January gives you a clue, there you go, let's say that, on when it's going to be. On January 4th, if it's only a leap year, it's going to do that. Making you understand that the last day of January is going to be on the 25th. Which, that means, after that, it's going to be, yet again, an odd number again. So, that's how you determined that. Sorry that my lights is on, but I just had to do something, and then now I'm back. It took a very long time, but now I'm back. So the thing is, if you look now, I already talked about that January 25th that is going to help you give you a clue on that. And also, well, before I say this, but one thing I'm going to say. If you all remember the numbers that was 4, 11, 18, and 28 podcasts that I talked about those numbers. Those numbers that are going to end up being the numbers that you're going to determine during the leap years by the patterns. But this time, we need to look over now and something else that I'm going to be talking about in today's podcast. How to determine a leap year if, let's say, 1978. Let's get a good example of 2000. The year 2000 was a leap year, and it started on a Saturday. So if you look over here at the year 2000, that was a leap year. And then there's 4 years that a leap year happens, which is going to be in 2004. And then in 2008 is a leap year. But now, this is now a question that I have for y'all. If you look all the way to 1978, I'm also going to show it to you guys as well. Do everyone think that 1978 was a leap year? I'll give you all 10 seconds to guess that if 1978 was a leap year.
Three seconds later.
And your answer is 1978 was not a leap year. Now, another crucial example I want to give you all. How about 1970? You all have... I'm only going to do 2 trivia. 10 seconds. Here we go. If 1970 was a leap year. To answer your question, it was not a leap year. So, what happens during those times of a leap year? The leap year happens every 4 years, but the third digit gets the effect to determine that. So, if there is an odd number on a third digit, like it was in this case in 1970, and there's 2 years. Also, another good one would be 1974. I didn't do that one, but I just decided to give it to you all now. All of that right there that I showed you all was not a leap year because, first of all, it happens every 4 years. And it has to end by an even number, but every 4 years. And the third thing is the number is odd. The third digit is odd. So now if I tell you, or if I ask you all if 1960 was a leap year, will you all be correct? You know what? I'll give you all 10 seconds to guess if 1968 was a leap year or not. You'll have the time up here. So the answer to your question, yes. So what is going on? What am I trying to say is that if the leap year falls on the third digit is an even number, in this case I said 1968, that means that there is a leap year on the numbers 8, 4, and 0. Whew! I'm preaching to the choir right now. Jeez Louise. Man. Do you all know now how to determine a leap year now? If it's an even number, I could say this one more time. Numbers that are even on the third digit, which an example I give you all was 1968, and every 4 years. And that, you go somewhere and someone is like, 1968. And you're like, oh shoot, is that a leap year? I swore I feel like that's a leap year. Oh no, I don't think so. Always remember that The third digit, you need to understand it happens every 4 years, number one. Number two, that the third digit has to either be an even number or an odd number. Well, in this case, it's an even number. To be numbers 0, 4, and 8 on the last digit. If it is not, if I didn't say numbers 4, 2, or 6, you gotta wait a few years for that leap year to happen on if those numbers are on the third digit odd numbers every 4 years. And if it's not end of century to add against that, upon that, you need to understand the numbers that are going to be the leap years, which are 2 and 6. That's how you determine a leap year. Another thing I want to talk about is last year. Yeah, let's give you a very, very good example here for last year before we end today's podcast. So in 2022, last year, January 1st started on a Saturday. Now, I have a question for y'all. I'm not going to put any time up because I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to ask a question. You all just, folks don't want to put it in the comments. You don't have to because I know you won't. But if I put this here, I'm assuming you'll be thinking about it. But December 31st ended on what day? Bingo. It ended on a Saturday. Now, I have a question for y'all. In 2024, January 1st is going to start on a Monday. So, is next year in 2024, that is... My goodness, it's almost there. Is 2024 of December also going to be ending on Monday or no? No, because of the leap year. Exactly. So the leap year changes everything. It literally changes everything. And the reason why there's a leap year, you know what? I'm gonna search it up right here as well. Why is there a leap year? According to the internet, so our planet takes approximately 365.25 days to orbit the sun once. Just once. Just to orbit the sun once. It takes 365.25 days to orbit the sun once. It's that 25 that creates that need of a leap year every 4 years. During the non-leap years, common years like 2022, the calendar doesn't take into account an extra quarter of the day required by Earth to complete a single orbit. So it's because the Earth goes around the sun approximately once. 365.25 days just to do that. And it just needs about roughly a quarter of a day to require an Earth completion of a single day. Man, so there's your question, y'all. That's why there's a leap year. So yeah, that's that for today. Hopefully you all learned something here. And today's podcast was just that. If I don't upload within the month, then y'all are gonna see this whenever you see this. I'm not gonna promise or tell anyone. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're gonna see this on X amount of days, or you're gonna see that day. The podcast that I do here is because I like to. I do it whenever I feel like it, and nobody's gonna force me. I don't want nobody in the comments forcing me. So yeah, again, just whenever I feel like it, whenever I'm interested. This might be the last calendar podcast in 2023. Who knows? I might do one in December. If I don't, then by all means, you gotta wait until next year in 2024. If I don't do one on December, I'm also gonna say a Merry Christmas for you all. Enjoy the holidays. I know Thanksgiving is coming in a few weeks. Happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, have a happy new year. Have a good 2024 coming up. And if your goal is like me, memorizing calendar and doing a podcast, go ahead. Do what you want to do. As long as you do what you love to do. And remember, we all make mistakes. It happens to the best of us. So yeah, everyone. Again, thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast. And if you all enjoyed, I guess, yet again, like I said, it's just something I like to do. Something that I feel like I love doing. And yeah. So I'll see you all next time.
Now here's the outro.